New England's favorite bowling show. From Leda Lanes in Nashua, New Hampshire. Featuring the best bowlers from around the region. Candlepin Stars and Strikes. And now your hosts, Dick Lutz and Mike Moore.
Hi again, everybody, and welcome into another edition of Candlepin Stars and Strikes on WNBS TV from Leda Lanes in Nashua, New Hampshire. Dick Lutz with Mike Moore, and it is week 2 of our mixed doubles competition. And then last week, an impressive debut for our winning team of Deb Matranga and Joe Smith.
Over a couple of very experienced bowlers, Dave Richards and Johnny Brown. So we'll see how they fare this week against two more very seasoned bowlers.
Low-scoring match last week as the team of Matranga and Smith beat the team of Richards and Brown 322 to 315, and they have their work cut out for them this week. Let's meet our bowlers. First, last week's winners, our number 5 seed, Deb Matranga from Haverhill, Mass., and Joe Smith from Wilmington, Massachusetts.
There you see him bowling. Deb Matranga, average 111, high single 184, high triple 403, and Joe Smith from Wilmington, 115 average, 181 high single, 429 triple. He does his bowling at the Woburn Bowlodrome.
They combined for a 1246 in the roll-off to earn the number 5 seed, and as I mentioned, they beat the team of Johnny Brown and Dave Richards 322 to 315 last week. This week, their competition, the number 3 seed, Cyndi Cawley from Franklin and Chris Sargent from Haverhill.
Cyndi Cawley has been here before on our show in past years, coming in with an average of 117, high single 169. Cindy's high triple is 414. Bowls south of Boston there at Fico's in Franklin and Candlewood in North Reading, Mass.
And they bowled a 1274 combined to earn the number 3 seed. Let's get right to it. It's Matranga and Smith and Cawley and Sargent. We're coming right back for this afternoon's match on Candlepin Stars and Strikes on WNBS TV right after this. Joe Smith will be first to bowl this afternoon as you get a look at our crowd here at Leda Lanes in Nashua, New Hampshire. Week 2 of mixed doubles. Joe Smith first ball right on the head pin. Unusually low scoring last week, 322 to 315. Let's see if we can get a breakout here this week as Joe Smith starts out with a spare.
I haven't really researched the stats here for the last 5 years of mixed doubles. Generally, the scoring, as you would expect, is a little bit lower. When you're bowling, you know, less frequently, you don't get your rhythm going, and
you get shots like that, a spread eagle. Joe Smith, 26 years old. Been bowling for 20 of those 26 years. The average is 115, a high single 181, high triple 429. Puts a 9 box on the board.
I think he started last week with a spare and then a spread eagle again.
I think you're right. Exactly correct. Chris Sargent, no stranger to Candlepin bowling fans.
And Chris Sargent, we apologize at the introduction here. I only introduced his partner, Cyndi Cawley. Chris Sargent, 132 average, high single 213. His high triple is 530. Bowls at St. Joe's in Haverhill and Park Place in Wyndham. So something seemed like I forgot to do something, and we went to commercial. I said, Dick, did I introduce Chris Sargent? And apparently I did not. A senior moment brought to you by yours truly.
I know those moments all too well.
Well, between the two of us, we are now over 100 years of age, so folks.
Matter of fact, I've been taking ginkgo biloba, but I forgot why.
Well, there's the 2-7-10 from Chris Sargent with some wood between the 2 and the 7.
Chris, 32 years old, recently became a police officer in the town of Groveland, Massachusetts.
Some other big news in his personal
Haverhill.
life. Just got engaged.
Good for him.
Christy, who's here with him today, they'll be married September of 2004. Not rushing into it.
Here's Deb Matranga, who made her TV debut last week. Shook the butterflies right away.
Kind of pulled that one to the left. Half Worcester, the 2 and the 8.
Deb's been bowling for 30 years. Coaches the Haverhill girls softball team and still plays a little softball.
And as you heard last week, Joe Smith, her partner, coaches his mother, who at 49 still plays softball.
Deb with a 7 box.
It was a nail biter all the way last week, Dick.
She has a 111 average, a high of 184, which is beyond my comprehension, a high triple of 403. And in the roll-offs for the mixed doubles competition, there's a spare for Deb. They don't bowl as teams.
No, you're right, they do not. They're matched up. I'm glad you mentioned that, because the men have their own qualifying. The women do as well. And the top seed for the women is matched up with the top bowler for the men. So you've got the biggest power at the top.
There's Deb Cawley.
Cyndi Cawley.
Cyndi Cawley. Deb Matranga, Cyndi Cawley.
And we'll see Deb Regan in 2 weeks. So there's a couple of Debs at either end of our ladder this time.
And my wife is Deb, and she's always on my mind. And a 9 box for Cyndi Cawley. Cyndi averages 117, a high 169, a high 3 of 414, bowled a 600 in the roll-off as the third seeded women.
There's a spread eagle, the 2-4. I'm sorry, the 2-3, 4, 6, 7, and 10.
She's been bowling since she was 11 years old. Works in home care aid for the elderly with TLC nursing.
Waiting for her balls to return. Here they come. Off the big revolving turntable in the pit. Still has 4 of the 6 original spread eagle pins remaining.
And an 8 box. So Sargent and Cawley looking for their first mark, while Smith and Matranga have a pair of marks and an early lead. Joe Smith on lane 34 at Leda Lanes in Nashua, New Hampshire, where Ray Simino and Sean Howard and the staff roll out the red carpet for our terrific group of fans. Every taping session. We'd love to see you next time around. When's our next taping session, Mike?
Well, our first one of the brand new year will be Tuesday, excuse me, Tuesday, January the 7th at 10 a.m.
Joe with the spare. Back-to-back marks for Smith and Matranga.
Another mark here will put $50 in their pockets. They, of course, split all the money that is won unless they've agreed otherwise.
We did not give away any bonus money last week. Put 7 in this spare. The 1, the 3, and the 7. He's going to make it. No! Yes, he is! $50 in bonus money.
So the pressure is on early of the team of Cawley Sargent as Chris steps to the line here in the 5th box.
He throws it right at the head pin and leaves the 10 pin.
Chris Sargent's dad, Mike Sargent, inducted into the ICBA Hall of Fame a couple of months ago in Manchester. Mike Sargent, one of the greats, and clearly the apple doesn't fall far from the tree.
Chris missed the spare. And he hits the wood and misses the 10 pin, so he has to settle for a 9 box.
So they find themselves 19 pins behind in completed frames, and he's up against a spare in the 6th box.
There's another pocket shot, and again the 10 pin. So 2 times in a row, 9 pin drop with the first ball, leaving the 10 pin. This time no wood to help. As a matter of fact, wood could be problematic in the gutter if he hits it first, which is what he did, and that will not be a spare. That'll be another 9 box for Chris Sargent. Want to acknowledge a note we received from Aldea White from Sutton, Massachusetts. Aldea, thank you very much for your nice note. We appreciate hearing from you. Deb Matranga.
I'd like to add some bonus money here with this very difficult spare. The 1 and the 7 with some wood frozen against the 7 in the corner. giving her actually a much bigger target, but she's got to hit the object pin first to have any chance.
Not going to make the spare, so the bonus money stops at 50. And a 10 box.
And a commanding lead early on here through completed frames. The lead was 28 pins. And they're still falling. It's the 1, the 3, the 9, and the 10. Some wood in front of the 10 pin. And that should be helpful. She'll want to go between the 1 and the 3 for the best chance to make this.
Got a nice note from Kevin Cormier from Candlepincorner.com to tell us that the Massachusetts Youth Travel League honored Tom Morgan before the first match at his old home, the Metro Bowl in Peabody, on Sunday, December 15th. They had ceremonies that began in the morning, and the league retired the original championship trophy and gave it to last year's champ from Walex, who lost their home center last year. And they'll always have a little souvenir of the memories from their old bowling establishment. Thanks to Kevin for that note.
And the late Tom Morgan's brother Mike Morgan will be here next week. His partner Joanne Rosano, they were the #2 seeds in our 4-week ladder series. Still looking for their first mark. They've got 110 and a whole bunch of 9s. And there's the spread eagle with the 9-pin sleeper in the back row.
Cyndi will be open. And a 7-box, 70. So a 31-pin lead early in the match for the team of Joe Smith and Deb Matranga,
who prior to last week, neither of them have been on television, Dick. Hasn't affected them. Winning by 7 pins over Johnny Brown and Dave Richards last week. 2 very experienced bowlers in terms of television. Certainly Dave more than Johnny, but she's also been under the lights before. First time for Joe and Deb.
$7 for Joe. 108 through 9. Well, he threw it at the head pin, but he's got a tough shot still facing him. The 3 and the 6 on the right. The 4 on the left. Got to slide that pin over. He's not going to make it that way. Well, will he? Wait a minute. Don't go away.
Yeah, he did that a little earlier.
Yeah.
With the pin in the corner and the scout coming over.
He's at 117 and a 118 for Joe Smith and Deb Matranga in the first string, and $50 in bonus cash. Chris Sargent to finish out the first string, opposite a couple of open frames, looking to get closer. He buries it in the pocket. That's the 3rd time in a row he's had a 9-pin drop. He does not like the wood the way it is set up there. He's got a left to right kind of a ball. I wonder if he's going to try and sneak it past that front wood and catch the catch the wood in the back. He's got to go right at that piece of wood and hope for the best.
Bigger risk to try to sneak around to the back wood.
No, he caught it off the wall. Wow. Without touching the wood that was closer to the pin. It hopped off the wall and hopped into the air and clipped it. Watch this pin go off the left wall and come up into the air. That piece of wood
untouched.
Never touched.
Well, that's their first mark, and it came at a great time, setting up for a possible good finish here in the 10th.
With his left to right ball, he'll put 6 in the mark. Tough shot to go.
They will not hit 100 if Chris doesn't make this very difficult spare.
Going after it, not going to make it. So he'll be open there at 93 right now. 94 first string for Chris Sargent and Cyndi Cawley, and a lead of 24 pins for Deb Matranga and Joe Smith. We're headed to string number 2. From Leda Lanes in Nashua, New Hampshire, we continue with Candlepin Stars and Strikes on WNDS-TV. Ready to go, string number 2. From Leda Lanes in Nashua, New Hampshire, Cyndi Cawley will be first to bowl in the second string. Leading off for her team as they trail by 24 pins.
The women begin the second string, the men begin the first, and it's a team decision as to whether the men or the women will begin the third game. Each team will decide who will start, depending on who's got the hot hand, I suppose.
That will be a 10 box for Cyndi Cawley.
She's got a nice smooth style. Very nice delivery. Average of 117, high triple at 414. This is her second time on WNDS.
Right on the head pin, spread eagle.
She was on our show as the number 5 seed with Bob Caleri. They defeated Tim Lipke and Colleen Montplaisir. I'm sorry, they were defeated by that team. Obviously, they did not go on to win. What happened, though, Dick, they tied at 317 and had a 2-frame roll-off, losing 29-19 to Lipke and Montplaisir. And that was when? That was back 2 years ago.
Watch out, almost made it. And a 9 box. Here's Deb Matranga. Both Deb and Cyndi have 3 children. Deb's oldest son, Daniel, is with the Essex County Sheriff's Department. Christian is pursuing his doctorate at UMass Medical, and Tina is a teacher in Stoughton. And Deb Matranga does not make this pair. Cyndi Cawley's children, daughters Erica, a sophomore at Worcester State, Amanda is a 9th grader, and Trish is an 8th grader. That'll be a 9 box for Deb Matranga.
There's a mess. The 4-pin kind of shimmies over toward the 7-pin. You got
That's
the
makeable. The head pin's key right
sure
here.
It is. Yeah.
The head pin is key with the wood in the back. That is a makeable shot. She's going to make it. Oh, the 10-pin still stands. I thought the wood was angled there to get it.
It was, but it didn't happen. It was set up beautifully for her, and she hit it probably where she wanted to.
And a 9 box for Deb. Here's Chris Sargent. Chris, a real explosive bowler. High single of 213. That's explosive. That's by definition, that's explosive. That strike was explosive.
Almost as if on cue, as you described his style, he bangs one in there in the 3rd frame.
Watch it again. Watch how long it takes for these pins to go down. You can hardly get the replay up before the pins are down. Will it go? Will it take it? Oh, the 8-pin. That 5-pin went in the air. It was riding on a piece of dead wood, and you thought for a minute that it had a chance to wipe out that 8-pin, but it didn't go for it.
Chris motioning the pin to come back and line up with the plate so that it doesn't angle off. He can hit it right straight through, like that.
2 marks in a row for the team of Cyndi Cawley and Chris Sargent.
Joe Smith, who's been very relaxed for his very first and second times on television the last few weeks.
Joe from Wilmington, bowling out of the Woburn Bowlodrome. He's got a tough shot here. The 6 and the 7 with a piece of wood he's going to have to splatter, and it doesn't happen.
Doesn't throw it especially hard, but he's really got a nice touch. Very accurate.
And that'll be a 10 box.
Glad I didn't jinx him there. Parents are John and Joan, as brother Jay.
The timing of this email is purely coincidental. We enjoyed bowling each and every Sunday. What we would like to see is more of the women bowlers. How come there isn't a roll-off for the women? I'm sure there are enough women bowlers to qualify. See what strings you can pull. Thanks, George and Carol Wallace. Well, you're getting to see some of the best women during our mixed doubles competition. And we're going to have a break right here with a 13-pin lead in the match, with Cyndi and Chris bowling to fill a mark when we come back to Candlepin Stars and Strikes on WNDS TV from Leda Lanes in Nashua right after this. Here's Cyndi Cawley ready to go on lane 34 as we come back from the break. She will put 5 in the mark. Missed the head pin. Just takes one of them. And an 8 box. At the 5, the 6, and the 9.
The inverted triangle.
Not going to make the shot.
Very, very close match with a 10 for Cyndi Cawley. Still looking for their first mark, Deb Matranga and Joe Smith. Deb's turn now in lane 5. Half Worcester. Ball drifting over to the left side, which it has done on a few occasions today. Very difficult spare.
You hit it right on the outside, just where you like to do it. And a 10 box. Figure whenever you get a half Worcester, if you can come out of it with a 10 box, you're doing well. If you get a mark, it's exceptional, but if you come out of it with a 10 box, you're doing well. 4 horsemen left side, no wood to help out. The 1, the 2, the 4, the 7. She'll take 3 of them. I don't think that wood's coming back strong enough to get it. We'd like to hear from you with notes or emails. Our email address, bowling@WNDS.com, and the mailing address, WNDS 50 Television Place, Derry, New Hampshire, 03038.
An 8-pin lead for Deb and Joe. Cyndi and Chris cutting their margin of the deficit in half with the strike spare combination that Chris Sargent put up there a couple of frames ago.
Right on the head pin. Will it go? It's still wobbling. Chris is rooting it over, but it's still standing.
Had the same problem over on lane 33. It was the same pin.
The 8 pin still wobbles.
Back in the 4th box.
All by its lonesome. Missed it.
So close.
Didn't miss it by much.
Very frustrating. That's a number of single pins that Chris has gone by today. A couple of 10 pins last string. But they've kept the match really close, so not a lot of damage done, but opportunities lost.
Right on the head pin again. A little too full. Tough shot here. 4, 5, 7. He throws an exciting first ball in that. It
sure does.
It can create a lot of different things. Not going to make the spare there. He's open again.
Chris has 6 WCBC titles, which puts him number 5 on the all-time list for men. Tied with Gary Carrington, who also has 6 as he walks by another single pin.
9 box 91 through 8. Here's Joe Smith. It's a tight match. As it's within a mark right now.
As it was last week. It was never more, I don't think, than 20 pins apart last week, and they won by 7. Matranga and Smith did.
This is a makeable shot. The 1 and the 3 with a piece of wood between. Missed it, threw it past it, knew it as soon as it left his hand. He turned back. Tough miss for Joe because it's just such a makeable shot. And he'll have to settle for a 9-box. Costly miss there.
Both teams have done the same thing, missing some great spare opportunities, and that's why the match is still so close, because nobody's really taking the initiative.
Yeah, he threw it past the head pin there. He's got the 1-3-7. Wood is in the back. I don't believe it's a factor, although it could scatter. Especially with a double wood back there. He's going to miss the shot. Look at that. It did take the 7-pin.
So Joe missing the object pins in his last 2 spare opportunities.
We mentioned last week how he found the head pin early in the match and pretty much stayed on it. He has lost the head pin.
But they still maintain a lead of 8 pins.
8-pin lead in the match for Deb and Joe over Cyndi and Chris, with 2 frames remaining in the second of 3 strings. Cyndi Cawley
took a re-rack as there was no 7-pin on lane 34.
There's no 7-pin again.
All right.
We've got to hit it one more time.
Reset it one more time. We'll get somebody down there to have a look, just in case there's something wrong with the machinery. Sometimes it'll happen a couple boxes in a row.
Takes a few seconds for the rack to fill.
And we've got one of the fine technicians here at Leda Lanes. You know, it's so rare that we ever have any machinery malfunction at Leda Lanes. I don't know how old the machines are, but in Candlepin bowling in general, they haven't made any new Candlepin machines, I'm guessing, in 30 years.
Long time. Nice shot by Cyndi Cawley, and look at the action she gets.
Back door, leaving only the 9-pin.
And the wood moves away.
Well, the wood in the back is certainly more helpful because it serves as a guide. She'll want to kind of go to the right if she can.
Oh, it guided the ball around it. Didn't make the spare. Another tough miss. And that's what would have happened if she hit it the first time that way. So an open frame in the 9th.
When you start Candlepin bowling, you think that wood is a good thing. And sometimes it is, but more often than not, it's not a good thing.
That's right on the head pin. She took out the 5 and the 7, leaving just the 10.
And she's got a guide. This is a little bit better, but she'll want to be more to the right if she
I
can.
think the guide is too far behind it, isn't it? Nope, it got it. She used it.
Which is good because you don't have to worry about going too far to the right and putting it in the gutter when you can keep it to the left. It's always a good thing.
So she was able to take advantage that time of the guide pin and mark in the 10th frame. 110 plus a ball. The ball is a pretty good one. A 7 fill and a 117 second string for the team of Cyndi Cawley and Chris Sargent.
I'll tell you, they made their most of 3 marks, Dick. 117 for 3. I wanted to mention that Cyndi Cawley was the WCBC Rookie of the Year in 1994 and 95, and oddly enough, she was the Pro Bowler of the Year. So not only did she make a splash her first year, she was the top bowler her first year in the WCBC back in 94 and 95.
Deb Matranga on lane 34. The 6, 9, and 10, and she missed it. The 10 is still standing. And that will be a 10 box.
Well,
so unless she marks, we're going to be dead even. If she marks, they'll have the lead. Here's the mark.
And what a sigh of relief I saw her exhale after putting that one in the Brooklyn side.
Watch it again. Clutch spare for Deb Matranga to allow her team to stay in the lead. She'll have a couple of balls to fill the strike, and let's see if she can put a couple back to back. Oh!
Nearly a double strike.
103 is what it is. A 103 second string.
104.
104 second string. And an 11-pin lead for Deb Matranga and Joe Smith, headed to the 3rd and final string as we continue from Leda Lanes in Nashua, New Hampshire on WNDS TV's Candlepin Stars and Stripes. Here's Joe Smith getting ready to start the third string. 11 pins separate the teams of Deb Matranga and Joe Smith. They lead Cyndi Cawley and Chris Sargent. Joe Smith starts out with a spread eagle.
The men begin the first string, the women the second, and then it's the individual choice of both teams as to who will start the third. In this case, Joe Smith has been delegated. We'll see if Chris Sargent or his partner, Cyndi Cawley, will begin for their team.
10 bucks. Got an email from Bill Daly, who writes the old Uxbridge bowling alleys. Remember we were talking about that last month. Were owned and operated by George Donald from the 1920s to the mid-60s. George always referred to them as gutters and alleys. As Joe Smith buries one. Watch it again. Right in the 1-3 pocket.
So lanes and channels wouldn't fly back in the old days, huh?
Gutters and alleys. And he said that the term Brooklyn side came from the fact that as we looked south toward New York, Brooklyn was on the left side, and we were always taught as right-handers to throw to the 1-3 pocket. But if you keep tabs, as many, if not more, strikes come when a right-hander hits the Brooklyn side. Bill Daly says he set pins and bowled back in the late 40s and early 50s. Here's Chris Sargent.
He wasn't going to miss that 10-pin. Saw the fire of determination on that one after he missed a couple of single pin opportunities so far today.
There's Chris Sargent matching the Joe Smith strike.
And a Brooklyn hit, we might add.
With one of his own. And, well, he bowls from left to right, and he comes into the 1-2 pocket. That's kind of a natural shot for him.
Exactly. The 1-3 pocket hit is a little bit more important for 10-pin bowlers who generally have that side rotation that helps the ball drive through the pins better. It is not as critical as to what side you hit if you're a candlepin bowler.
Oh, she missed the spare. Thanks to Bill Daly for that email, by the way. There's a 9 box for Deb Matranga.
Runner-up team today will share $375. And the winning team next week will face Joanne Rosano and Mike Morgan. And then 2 weeks from today, the top-seeded pair, Deb Regan and Mike McGann. Deb Regan has been here 4 of the last 5 years, if I see my stats correctly. She's really been the most steady bowler over the years, getting into our show.
It's a nice 10 box for Deb Matranga. Cyndi Cawley will move up to lane 34.
She holds the record for the highest pins for 25 strings, which is one category that I don't believe is being used anymore.
Look at this. The 3-pin surrounded, but would not surrender.
So she's got the record for 25 strings. Did that back in 94-95 during her rookie year, and when she was the bowler of the year, with a spare now in the 3rd frame. And she is also the number 3 bowler last year, behind Joanne Rosano, who you'll see next week, and Janet Pock, who is often here. In fact, she's in the audience today, but she was the number 2 bowler last year. This would be a huge spare for the team of Cawley and Sargent.
3 marks in a row, $50 in bonus money. We go to the break, and we're virtually even. Don't go away. Heading down the home stretch. We continue from Leda Lanes in Nashua, New Hampshire on WNDS TV's Candlepin Stars and Stripes. Joe Smith ready to go. The team of Joe Smith and Deb Matranga.
Hello, Joey.
In a match that is virtually tied, depending on what Chris Sargent does when he comes to the line, he'll put his team in the lead. Joe Smith had a tough shot and made a great try. That'll be an 8 box. So the control of the match has shifted. Both you and I gave Chris a 10 box in the first string.
That is correct.
And it was a spare.
Yep. So we'll get that taken care of, catch everybody up to speed, and that will give them the lead for sure.
So we had an incorrect score. We're trying to straighten it out now. We both had them with a 10 box in the first frame.
So we have corrected things, and we'll
show
you
it to you.
update.
Yeah, during the next opportunity. But Sargent and Cawley have the lead in the match. Chris, he's right in the pocket. They've put 4 on the board in a row, so they have $75 in bonus money.
And they haven't left a pin at all, not even an open frame.
And another one. That's 5 marks in a row to start the third string, and they have taken control of the match. We apologize for the scoring error that we had. We had a 10 box in the first frame. Both Mike and I had written down 10s. And in fact, it was a spare. Here's Chris Sargent, another pocket shot.
Looking
a 9
for
in the mark.
His their sixth mark in a row here. They're piling up the bonus money. Wow.
Another strong mark. They're just piling it on right here.
Barring a barrage of marks for Deb and Joe, they're going to win this thing going away. That's a pretty good pinfall for a very, very thin hit. It's a 2-pin all by itself for Deb Matranga.
Nice shot for Deb.
Not wilting under the pressure either. Five-pin will not go down. Wood rests at the lip of the lane, right where the plate begins. Pins are set on a metal plate. Can't always see it on TV, but it's just a fraction of an inch lower than the wooden lane bed itself. So the ball actually makes a very slight drop when it leaves the lane onto the plate.
That'll be a 9 box.
6 frames, 6 marks for Cyndi Cawley and Chris Sargent. Will she make it 7? Very makeable spare, the 1-3-6. Yep, she won't do it. Ball went off to the left, missing the object pin. .122 through 7. And a near strike for Cyndi Cawley, leaving only the 6-pin, which would have been a great fill had she made her spare in the 7th box. And I think she's waiting for her balls to return. Joanne Rosano and Mike Morgan await the winner of this match for our shows next weekend. Runner-up today, the team will split $375. Ultimately, $1,500 the first prize. In 2 weeks, we'll find out who the team champion is. There's another missed opportunity on a spare lead, but she'll pick up the 10. And a 31-pin lead with 2 boxes to go. Matranga and Smith need a double strike to even have a chance.
My score sheet is an absolute mess.
Luckily, a few keystrokes on the computer, and I can fix it pretty quickly.
Joe Smith needs a mark.
That was a nice pocket hit. Pins didn't fall the way he would have liked. 5-8-10 with no wood.
Ooh, he almost gave it a run. Tried to slide that 5-pin over to the 10. He'll take a 9 box.
triple strike is about their only hope.
Well, there's one. Not only would it put him back in the match, it would give him a shot at $775 in bonus money, which is what I think the triple strike jackpot has, if I could find my sheet. Does that sound about right?
Sounds about right.
775, but it's not going to happen.
No, and mathematically, they can't win.
Put an 8 in the strike and a 117. Third string and a 3-string total of 339, and Cawley and Sargent already have 343. Chris right in the pocket again, leaves the 10-pin. Spare for Chris. They have 75 and 50, $125 in bonus money. The Smith Matranga team have $50 in bonus money. Chris a little full on the head pin that shot. Trying to break up the split, won't be able to do it.
Well, they're in the 150s with a miracle shot here. They could be in the 160s. But it's all academic. They've won it. So you might want to save some for next week. You'll need a ton against Rosano and Morgan, that's for sure.
Open in the 10th frame. He's at 157. 159. Third string for the team of Chris Sargent and Cyndi Cawley. 3-string total of 370. They win the match by 31 pins over Deb Matranga and Joe Smith. We'll come back to Leda Lanes to wrap things up right after this on WNDS TV's Candlepin Stars and Strikes. The team of Cyndi Cawley and Chris Sargent defeat the team of Deb Matranga and Joe Smith. Final score of 370 to 339. Deb Matranga and Joe Smith are here. We'll do some of the bookkeeping and give out some of the checks. A total of $375 plus $50 in bonus money. And let's talk about your first time ever on TV. How was it? What was the experience like?
The first match was hotter than the second one, but it got a little easier as it went on.
Deb, did you find the lights got to you at all? Is it anything?
It's just so hot. You know, a little heat.
A little heat?
Yes.
The heat of the pressure or the heat of the warmth?
Well, both.
Yeah? Yeah?
Both.
What about the atmosphere in bowling in front of cameras and things like that?
It wasn't bad. It wasn't as bad as I expected.
Take some getting used to?
Yes, a little.
Butterflies? Mm-hmm. We all experience butterflies when we come out there.
A lot of nerves.
And what you're into your second career. You worked for Lucent Technology for 28 years. Now you're onto something else. What's it like? Is there less pressure on a job now that you realize that most of your working years might be behind you in that sense?
Oh, yes, yes. This is a real easy job, a nice job. It's just being an attendant for a playground for the kids. So it's a little bit easier than Lucent was and Western Electric at that time.
And the kids are grown and they're out, and that makes it a little bit easier.
Yes, they are. Yes. I can enjoy my bowling and coaching.
What about bowling for you as a future, and how serious of a venture it becomes for you?
I take it like, you know, as for fun. I'm not too serious. I mean, when I'm serious, it's just, you know, in league. But other than that, it's just a bunch of friends just getting together to bowl.
Some of these people who are on our show on a regular basis pretty much still take the game very seriously, though. Is that something that you plan to do?
Maybe. I didn't really decide about it. It's just, you know, I like to have fun, you know, and it's, you know, having tournaments and stuff are where I get competitive, but not during really so much other than that. This was like a fluke. You know?
Both of you handle yourself extremely well. We congratulate you and hope to see you again in the future. Thanks very much. Joe Smith and Deb Matranga.
Thank
our
you.
runners
very
up here this afternoon.
Thank you.
And now Cyndi Cawley will step up to lane 33, and we'll have our bonus ball contest. And we'll try to match her up with a winner at home and see if we can give away $50, which we have in the jackpot. And what will the number be? It will be a 9. And let's see, this is Diane Renault of Webster, Massachusetts. Picked 8, not a winner. Consolation prize for Diane Renault, and we'll bring up Chris Sargent and Cyndi Cawley. And you guys started out that third string like you really had a purpose.
Yeah, we did. We were on a goal for, you know, trying to throw a bunch of marks, as many as we could. So it was good.
You left a couple of single pin spares there. What's going through your mind?
don't give me another one because I just missed 3 the first string. I didn't want to see any more.
Did that serve to fire you up? Because it looked like you kind of got annoyed with yourself when you missed those 2, and then after that it was no looking back.
Yeah, after 2 or 3 of them, you just got to stop making them. My poor partner, I'm trying to leave her a mark, so I'm missing 9 drops.
Cyndi, 1994-95 was quite a year for you. You did something that I'm not sure anybody's ever done before, and that was Rookie of the Year and Pro Bowler of the Year.
Right. That was quite an accomplishment for me. I'm very proud of that.
Well, you got a good partner here, and next week you've got quite the team, Rosano and Morgan.
Right. They're going to be tough.
They will indeed.
Well, aside from advancing, $125 in bonus money and $50 for having the high string in the match, and we'll see you guys next week.
Definitely.
All right, Chris and Cyndi, thanks very much.
Thanks,
Chris
Cyndi.
Sargent and Cyndi Cawley, and we climb up the ladder one more rung.
Well, we do. The winningest bowler in Pro Bowler history is Joanne Rosano. She'll be the female partner to Mike Morgan's team next week here at Candlepin Stars and Stripes.
That'll do it for us. For Mike Morgan and our entire WNDS crew, I'm Dick Lutz. Thanks for watching, everybody. We'll see you next time on Candlepin Stars and Strikes. So long, everybody.